Electro coding live stream, everybody scream. Electro coding live stream, everybody scream.
Okay. Pardon me. I'm just getting started. Oh, it's a sunny day. It's nice here. I'm feeling a little low energy, but I got a lot to catch up on, so let's do it. How's everybody doing today? How y'all doing today? Right on. Just gonna be doing a little coding today. If I'm gonna keep leaning to the right, then I'm gonna need to just where my monitor points for my camera anyway. Hold on. Yeah. Right? I don't know. It's a little weird, but so be it. I could center myself a little bit more. Let's do this here. There we go. Just getting set up. How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful Friday. Can you believe it? Friday. Yeah, I'm indulging in listening to videos on YouTube while that you can't hear in my headphones. Uh, and just I'll probably just put on some music or something to enjoy. Because coding is always best with enjoyed with some music that takes you to your happy place. So let me see if I can find something. Uh, let's put on Gen Z music producer listening to the Beatles. That'll be that'll be amusing because I've been catching up on the Beatles myself, re-listening to all their albums, and I was working at a record store in what year was it? 87, 88, I don't know, but around there, and the Beatles had a remastered release of all their albums around that time, and it was a big deal. They were all being because of CDs were a big deal. They were happening, and so all their stuff was being remastered for CD and coming back out, and everybody was collecting them, or at least the collectors were collecting them. Uh, and yeah, it was a big deal back in the day. So I've been catching up on the Beatles lately and just kind of re-listening to them. And ironic that I'd be listening to the Beatles and then also being like, yeah, I'm making AI music now. So haha, haha, whatever, whatever the gesture is. But yeah, it's I thumb my nose at you. No, actually, I mean, as I've been, we're all practicing music because it's fun to do. It's nobody owns it, and like, I like playing with different tools, and of course, I've made FretPet and stuff. So, and Chord Calc, two products that are still, if you have older devices, might still run on them. Uh, FretPet in particular is pretty cool. I run it on one of my laptops just because, and then I got a MIDI interface for it and everything because it's a great way to drive. Also, you can like have GarageBand be driven by FretPet. What is FretPet? It's a guitar sequencer. Uh, you make chords on the fretboard and then you make picking patterns and then you put those together to make sequences and then you can have up to four voices. And I should have really just gone hog wild and made 10 or 20, but four was enough for me to get lost. And basically, it used QuickTime Player, but if you put it through GarageBand, once you had Mac OS 10 and it had like all those kinds of things, you could pump the output into GarageBand and use it to drive its synthesizers, and it sounded a lot better. And I really need to revive it so I can run it on the modern Mac OS. Like I keep seeing the stuff like Unreal Tournament coming out, and I'm like, well, if they can do it, if 2024, or 2004 version of Unreal Tournament can be revamped, I guess I could bring my my sequencer back, but I need to revamp. I've been thinking about how to revamp it, and I did stuff with that anyway. Today, I'm always in my retro mode because I always have unfinished projects, so it's always it pulls me back to the past. So in general, yeah, I did make links in my project. If you looked at my previous live stream video, uh, I made I mumbled a lot, but mostly I described everything that was in my 6502 tools project, and that's this stuff. But we're gonna put that away now and get back to Marlin. How boring. So let me bring that back. Oh, and I think I also have SoundCloud open. Whoa, I didn't realize. It's probably using some cycles. All right, now that's gone. So I've been working on all kinds of very boring Marlin stuff. So to say I'm a little bored with the code of Marlin is an understatement. But there's a lot to after the last few years of just trying to cobble everything together and be done and ready for a 2.13 release. I put out 3 betas. The fourth is delayed because I figured, I don't know, as I always do, it'll be out any day now. And of course, it wasn't out any day now. It was a long time of experimenting and doing more stuff, mostly with fixed time motion. Um, I don't know if this is still an issue, but here it is. January 20th, the last time it was commented on, was a boot loop after flashing new firmware. And that last time was January 20. Let's see if we got, I think we have a couple of fixes. And mostly this is more like a support issue because not present before or in, well, 2126 is going way back. When it comes to fixed time motion. It's going way back, but I get it. Yeah, if it was working and didn't break, that's good. We like that. But yeah, there's so much that we changed in fixed time motion between then and now. It's like it's almost a different beast, you might say. So if you're looking to like experiment, you could take it forward from where it is in 2126, and just kind of experiment with it from that point forward, and it would have a different outcome because it's float based a lot, and then it's more discrete based now. It's hard to describe, but basically, it's fixed point, and the math has been optimized, and it uses less memory and everything's, and it's doing a lot of just in time, like it's hard to describe again, discrete based. Look at the code. You may understand it even better than I do. Honestly, motion code is a lot of it is like as it's developing so quickly, a lot of it is over my head, or the math has already been evaluated, experimented with. Edge cases have been like uh, in the development of fixed time motion, we have actually some really good oversight, experimentation happening by the developer running code in real test environments, so to speak, with the ability to like see the whole range of numbers that it might produce and make sure that nothing falls outside of the size of, say, the fixed point numbers that are being used, so that everything is known to be stable within normal parameters. Uh, Hopefully. And I can't speak for, I assume everything still works just fine if you're using like everything's done in terms of differences in motion at that scale, rather than, say, if you had to have something 3 miles away for some reason and you needed that scale of numbers, you're going to lose precision at some point. Well, at this scale that we're working at, with this level of the motion system, it doesn't matter what the scale is. It's all about just, distance between 2 points as it's doing its thing. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's move forward with this. I just got to see where I'm at with my pile. I have such a pile. Um, where to begin? Well, usually the best place for me to begin is to start with where are the I should put this stuff away. Let's see. Stella, right. Right, updated stuff. I think this all just goes in this pile. I'll push. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Back to Marlin. So I was looking at what the latest is at from 6 days ago. Yeah. So, been catching up a lot on pull requests, but usually the ones from Ellen's P are useful and meaningful. Some of them are a little tricky, is like add a whole new language. I mean, that's cool. And I do wonder if they were, I guess they may have been generated. Oh, 275 million speakers. Okay. Well, there, that's nice of us. Totally. Yeah, so I should revisit just all the ones that I can close pretty quickly. And this definitely counts for that. So I'm going to open a new window for today's work, kind of separate it from that mess that I have in the background. One thing I can do is I could stick this into a bunch of like historical tabs. Boy, look at that, 32. I should keep these open on the left anyway, because it's actually, this is a much more useful interface. I don't know if you've noticed with this browser, at least. I think that this is a better interface than using the tabs on top. I would almost hide the tabs and use this instead most of the time, because you don't, especially these days with wide screens, you don't need this much space, you know? So, but when we're videoing, let's move this over a little for our usage. And do the same with whatever. And also this, even though it's not that important detail-wise. We're not here for that. Let's put away the Atari stuff. And LM Studio, we might need help with. It's nice to get help from LM Studio sometimes. In fact, here you can see, for example, I asked this local model, in this case GPTOSS 20B. You don't even have to go 120B. 20B will do fine. And I just loaded this up and asked, help me, give me the make file that I need to generate some code, and it described it for me, what I would need to do. And then later I asked, how do I do it, like inline? And it told me how to do that. So basically I could just combine these in one line. But so that's what I ended up using was this stuff that it kind of showed me. I'm like, oh, I could just do it this way as a variable, or I could print it this way. So yeah, it's nice to have help when you need it with things like make files. Because I didn't realize there was a printf, and I mean, and it would do this, like, it'll take this and each of these and put it through as an argument to this. That's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Printf the thing as many, and yeah, okay. So off we went. So if you ever need help with any kind of coding stuff, local models, if you can fit them and run them. Some of them, GPT-20B isn't that, OSS 20B isn't too huge. It's actually pretty good size to fit on most modern hardware. Nothing too taxing. And do we need our activity monitor today? No, let's put that away. All right, putting stuff away, getting organized. Here we go. Focus, focus, focus. All right, this is why we do Twitch, and then later edit these down. I gotta wake myself up here. There we go. Let's go, going. Let's go. Let's go, go, go. Indonesian and English. Let's take a look at these languages. 9 files. Because and it's interesting. What's called? It's actually Hindi Latin. I wonder if there is any kind of code for that. Although it is nice that there is one. If we have to add our own, we will. but it's long. We have to make. I think we could make up our own HG is already used. I think that's like Hungarian or something. Or no, it's gold. So yeah, if there's no international code HG, we could use that. I don't think anyone will mind if we call it gold. It's the language of gold, people. So I have pulled that down, and we can. Oh, I guess I put away too many windows. Hold on. Okay. Generally speaking, I go looking for changes, and everywhere I find them, oof, it's gonna be one of those days. I think I have to have the right node selected for my editor to be happy. Hold on. Um, I'll use the one that I was using before. Maybe it'll be happy now. I don't know. Um, at least it's not complaining at the moment. Probably because it's the same file, but so I'll just do replace everywhere, and then we can cherry pick them using GitHub, whatever code. Um, GitHub desktop. Everything should be called code. GitHub code. GitHub Copilot code. Desktop assistant. All right, there we go. Config yes. Oh, that one needs some spacing. Better. Hindi in Latin script, I see. We might use, well, if it is Hindi and we do have a Hindi, which we don't, I guess, we could do like an extension of Hindi if there's a Hindi language, basically. So let me just do a quick check on that. But wait, let's ask LM Studio. Keep it open for this kind of thing. Unnamed chat, and we'll just use OSS 20B. Oh, I guess it is already loaded. Good, ready, good to go. What is the, forget what the ISO will go. ISO language code for Hindi. Help me GSS, so GPT OSS 20B, it is HI. Hi. Okay, cool. So we could say, hi, I guess Latin script, I don't know. I don't want to say that, high Latin. We don't have Hindi generally, so I don't know if we maybe just want to go with Hindi for now and just use the Hindi code. But HG would be a good, I guess HG is a compromise because it's, let me check this. Is there any ISO language code HE? It represents Ivrit. Oh man, there's always going to be something, right? Oh, Hebrew, of course it is. I should have known that. Well, HG. Oh, well, I should ask about HG naturally. HG. No. Good. Okay, we can use it. So we'll just use HG, and we'll keep going with this whole foolish affair. Yeah, I think HG is probably best. And then I have to also rename this. I guess I'll just do it in the old Finder. Cut that out. Oh, I renamed it wrong. I'm having one of those days. Okay, hold on. HG, here we go. Oh, yeah, how's everyone doing today? It's a beautiful day in Austin. Things are cool. Things are chill around this neighborhood right now, which is good. It feels almost like, things outside are okay. Let's see, rename. Here we go. We all got to do our work every day. I've been really meaning to catch up. What am I, 6 days into my lull here? It was just the weather was so nice, and I was trying to catch up on my food and get my gut in order. Still not. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's just call it HG. Um, make up our own code. Uh, Apparently, it's not in use, which is cool, and it matches up to gold as the element name. So that's kind of cute. I think I like that. And then ID for Indonesian, which is nice. So we got Indonesian. Very cool. Now, the thing is, I do have automated translation as a concept in this thing. Um, and it's tricky to run. So it's very basic at this point. As you can see, we don't translate every string at this point, just some of the main stuff, some of the common things. Um, One of the things that is it doesn't match up to the current methodology, so I have to use an export import trick, I think. And I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me. If I want to fix this and have it be ready, I need to do this one extra process. And I do believe, let's see, we can put that away. And we can put, let's see, where's my other terminal? Terminal, where are you? Oh, there we are. Whoop. Hello. So here we are in Marlin firmware, and I need to do a um, export, language export, and I guess I can say -L, HI, and IN. I assume Indonesian, or was it ID or IN? It was ID. Okay, so it should do the right thing here. Holding fingers crossed, because it's been a while. So it found the strings and exported them. Now we'll take a look at what we've got. And it should have exported a out CSV folder containing, oh, yeah, looks like it did all the languages just now. Let me just check. Yeah, just did that. Okay. Well, in any case, I think it's because I changed the parameters on language export. Um, Oof. I feel like this is strangely old for some reason. Like maybe this is an older version of. Oh, it's a month, at least a month old. Okay. It's not that the PR is necessarily a month old. But I do need to bring in bug fix. Okay. Oops, and I need to find and fix all the conflicts. So give me a moment. Oh, finally only one. We're good, we're good. Okay, so yeah, here I've actually rearranged these. So we've got the two new ones are going to be HG and ID. So let's grab those. And we can just throw this all away. It's old stuff. Better than the new stuff. Let's see, same as the new stuff, right? Okay, so HG is going to go here. And we're going to have that be, again, whatever the size is and all that kind of stuff. And then we have ID, which will end up down here. Oops. Then auto spacing of the world is taken over. Okay. AI knows better than I do. Okay, so we got those ready to sort of start going. So that's going to be the name field. And then we are going to need a size field. For now, we'll say 1, because I think these may both be Latin. We'll see. ISO. I believe these will be maybe not have ISO. We'll see. We'll just skip that and we'll see what that's all about. So these come from the language files themselves. So I need to look at H. D. So cool. Bahasa Indonesia. Good. Inherit from English, of course. So this does have the the particular one is 1. And it has the not extended thing as well. So if we go back to here, that means it has the ISO of 1. That's this one down here. Don't want to get it wrong. There we go. And this one might as well. Might as well. We'll see. I have to open up language. hg.h and check. Yep, it does have both. Oh, and it has the not extended thing. I gotta check and see what that's about. Doesn't seem to. Oh yeah, next equals 1. So I do put both of those on there. So that's there, and also on Indonesian. All right, so there. Everything's all matched up. So now that everything is there and merged, that's all I had to do in that part. Now I just need to do the thing where I export and import. So let's see if the export works now. Okay, 977. So it should have now. Oh, I should delete these. Let me delete the old ones. Hold on. Deleting. Test. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's see what we did. We outed. Yeah, there we go. English is always done. And then HG and then ID. And there we go. These are all the strings that it exports. Including, I guess, just the wide one? I don't know. 4. So yeah, including empty ones. So now if I do a re-import, that should also do the same thing. You would think, it's broken. Right, so I have to do language import from, I have to pick a file, I guess. Let's pick HG. And how about ID? Okay, did it work? No, it did not. So what did it do? What did it end up doing? I haven't looked at my language import stuff in a little while. So let's take a quick peek at that. So if you've never seen this part of the Marlin code base, this is the part where we deal with LCD graphic display, you know, monochrome graphic display, colors and fonts and stuff, and strings. Colors, no, not colors, strings. And these strings are named, everyone has a name, and then we just print them by name. And this one, it looks like it did not really do the export correctly. So, yeah, something screwy with my export stuff. Oh, wait, no, there they are. There are the exports. I do see, yeah, there are some customized strings. There just aren't that many among this large number of strings that each language has now. So when I do the export, they export in a certain order, and that's basically all that there is now. But we then also do stuff like regenerate the font data, so that only the font data you need for, you know, it's stripped from a bitmap font. It strips out all the characters that aren't used, and just gives you the bitmap font mapping of the characters that you do use, which allows the smaller boards to display strings in other languages when needed, and so on. So it works out pretty well. We end up drawing, you know, it allows us to have like custom fonts, so we could do smaller fonts and things and do some other cool tricks, which could make the display really neat looking. I had my friend Lou designed some thing with like a 4x5 font or something, and it was like really ridiculously compact. Could fit so much data on your graphical display, but it would be comically unreadable. But I don't know, it would be kind of cool if we spaced it out a little bit with, you know, using tiny icons and stuff. I don't know. Think about it, 5x5. Um, Keep it in mind. So anyway, there's some scripts that help out with our uh, font stuff and our language stuff, and among those are these import and exports that I've been working on. Um, and it can import from a file, and it can import from a Google spreadsheet that's available online to edit, which is kind of a concept more than anything else. Never really use it. But if we do, we could, you know, if we could use it, uh, it would import it, the data from there, just like it would from any file. And then from that point forward, it's all the same. It does the CSV import, and it uses the CSV library in Python. So you just have to have that in your install. Most of us do, actually. It turns out it's a typical in default thing. So as other common file formats probably are. So JSON and such. So anyway, you split the lines, do all that. Anyway, the only reason I'm revisiting this is because I want to know what arguments it takes and what I'm supposed to be giving it. And it looks like I haven't changed it much. I do have a thing called language util, which should be good with all that stuff now. So yeah, this is supposed to actually generate language files based on the ones you give it. Maybe I just want to do all and just go from there and see what I get. Let's go for it. The last time I did language export, see what that looked like. Yeah, it was pretty much that. So I can do multiple. I feel like this isn't even up to date somehow. Is it? Yeah, okay. I knew I did extra work on this one. I guess I didn't make the importer quite as fancy as I did the exporter. Well, anyway, where were we? Let's do the export to, let's see what we get with HG and ID. Same thing, I presume. Yep. And Indonesian. Okay, good. So that's as far as that goes. Now, as far as the import, apparently, no. Um, maybe I need to do something different. So let me just take a look at what I've done with that. Maybe I do need to modernize it a bit. Use. Use. Use it to export CSV. Right. Import from a CSV or Google Sheet. Uh, use the defines above. Yeah, okay. Google Sheets link, blah, blah, blah. Um, so I don't know. This might only work with all languages at this point. I thought I had it fixed though. But no, it looks like maybe not. Eh? It's hard to look at. For eye and range. Okay, what? Okay, that's obviously doing the thing. That's obviously not needed. This is the reader. This is the download. This is okay, here we go. File path. Ugh. Follow what I'm doing. So normally I would have arguments set up to do this, all this stuff, but for some reason I chose to leave this in old school, get the first argument and make sure that whatever. So download means it goes to the sheet and gets that, um, or if it starts with HTTP, um, these are supposed to be CSV, so yeah, so basically CSVs, it's supposed to just do it. Um, oh, I remember what's wrong. I know what I'm doing. They're here. I forgot that they go here instead of right into the project. It doesn't just overwrite the files. Uh, right. So they're supposed to go here. So let's replace them. Boop. And see what we got. Okay, now this makes more sense. Okay, so now oh yeah, I think this is all good now. Doing the right thing. Um, well, this is what we're going to get on export, so I want to leave it as kind of as it is. So, but I will leave the date on there. So, is it that there were all the strings, or what's going on? It just, oh, I see all it's done is it's minimized them, which is good. But I could do a thing where I kind of forgot. It doesn't just pull in the English and leave it there. It's just, it pulls in whatever's there and nothing else. And there's a certain order to it, so I just had to do export, re-import. Okay, so I think we're good to go forward. Oh, wait. I forgot that's char size 2. Okay, let me change that. Char size is 2 for both of these. You would think, though, it wouldn't be. Because it's a Latin font. But let me just double check the char size 2 and see where it also appears. Well, I guess for accented characters, that's probably something that doesn't fit into your ASCII mapping. So let's just move forward with that. Just make our dumb assumptions and go forward. So I do the export, re-import. I forgot that part. Um, okay, language import. Yeah, let's do the import. HG. ID. Go back. and then do the re-import. Oh wait, copy them, of course. Let's get those done. All right, and there we go. Okay. Discard those changes, and hate to keep force pushing, but on the other hand, eh, eh. So pretty cool. It just does its own order. It's all you can do, and it's just gonna have tall and it's gonna have wide, because that's what they do. Um, they'll be ready to go whenever we're ready to go. As far as the characters and all that, I trust that's all done correctly. Um, but let's go back and continue our review and finish our review. Okay, had to do that with language util and get that up to date. Had to new language. Okay, everything seems good to me. The only thing I have to do is put it into the language configuration. So this is the other next step with this for posterity, if you wanted to know, is I have to go to configurations and quickly match it up to what's been submitted. I never assume that the submitter has also done so. Usually it's, they never know when it's going to be ready. And also I have to update it in every file. So, yeah. These are the only changes I'm going to be bringing in. There are others, but these are mine. These are the pertinent ones. So, for now, that's what we'll bring in. And we'll label it as new languages. And might as well put in the issue number as well for 28305, even though we'll never need to know it again. It's gonna be there forever. But we'll see a little thing pop up once it gets pushed. They'll get linked together, so at least the interface on GitHub will show it that they are linked. That's the main reason for doing that. And my main reason for using GitHub Desktop Dev is just so I can have these links here in the top appear properly to the destination that I want, because they haven't taken my commit yet. So in order to use that feature, I have to use my uncommitted, working copy of GitHub Desktop. So I don't know, why not? I'm a hacker. Let's do it. Let's hack it up. So anyway, the new things are there, and now now I have to make these all match. So in order to do that, I found the best tool to use, surprisingly, or maybe not, is Visual Studio Code. So let me bring that up in my customary fashion. So today I'm not really going to be doing auto build Marlin much. So let us now do this. We will do this. Let me see. Oh, right. I moved everything out to the right. So first thing is, normally I would open auto build Marlin in this first, then open the debug panel, and then launch. There we go. The Marlin one, and then I create a new window for configurations, and now we're ready to go. As far as searching configurations goes, so I'll search for the line that I want to replace, and then we will replace it, and we don't need to do in default, and then I just say go. All of them will be replaced, and we have to wait a second or two, this little number will go down. It says 410, and now they're all being saved. And after a second, it should appear here. Okay, good. Now the other thing I needed to change was this line, which is a very long line, but we can handle that. And that gets changed to these languages. And there we go. And now once these all get replaced, a single line replacement is usually very fast, especially. So pretty good to go. And now we're good. We're done. There's probably something that does even faster replacement, but as far as editor or UI interfaces go, the one in VS Code is snappy. So the only other thing I would do is put an icon on that. And the typical icon I use for languages is not here, but you can just use that. We'll say Hindi Latin. And Indonesian. All right. Connect with my Indonesian buddies. Let's see. Here we go. Hopefully get more interest from the Indonesian contingent doing this kind of thing. So there, now that that's in the configuration, that kind of completes things. So I can add that's in some documentation somewhere that we have those languages supported. But generally speaking, yeah. It's one of the things we got to do in filling out the documentation for sure. Really get deep into a whole page about languages and how they apply on different LCDs. With the what we call the dog LCD or the dogum or GLCD or RepRap discount LCD, or just 1024 or what is it, 128 by 64 display. That one is pretty customizable. So we really kind of favor that as far as like the best display to use, and then connected to that, Marlin UI is the most complete menu system that we have. That it's imperfect, but it can be reorganized, and we need to do that, I'm sure. But also it can be extended, and everything can be sort of fit into that menu style paradigm if you're okay with that. But there may be better interfaces that we can build out, but in general, that one allows us the most control, and it comes out on your Ender 3 v2 pretty good. I like it. I like using it on Ender 3 v2. Which I need to do new builds of. I'm going to take a momentary break. I'll be back in a few seconds to reconvene and do this next update on the Marlin code base. And get these new languages merged. I wish there was more as far as the number of strings, but that's the trick. Is I guess I've got the AI ready to go. It's just going to be a little work. The last time I ran it, I generated a bunch of strings. I have them stored away, so they're not gone. But there's just so many, and I don't really trust them all. I mean, all the translations I generated, there's so many. But anyway, I'll be back in a minute. And there we were, working again. All right, typical work day. The coffee goes right through me, but there you go. Okay, onward. That's why we call it a live stream. Thank you very much. How's everybody doing today? I don't expect a lot of streaming to be happening or like visitors today in the middle of a Friday. We all got our things to catch up on, get done for the end of the week, and get ready for the weekend, right? It's been a while since I've been out there playing on weekends, but the fun for me is all this retro stuff I was playing with on my nights and weekends lately, which is basically just rebuilding an old version of Qbert that I never finished when I was a kid. I'm indulging my get the damn thing done issues. I have like so many unfinished projects, it's ridiculous. I have a Defender clone that I never finished. I have a 3D printer, like, simulator that I kind of like started on. Again, both in Unity. And again, I am just basically just building up experience. I figured, well, maybe I can get a job doing Unity or get a job doing these things, or, build. And I needed to build up the experience to be able to do creative coding and that type of thing. And that was the kind of work I was looking for. Uh, so my neighbor wants me to go wake up her boyfriend, but I think someone else will go do it because we have a few friends who will do that here. But yeah, my neighbors and I are all like connected, man. Oh, John's good. He just woke up. Okay, cool. So yeah, my neighbors and I we look out for each other here. That's it's a nice neighborhood here in Austin, and we've got this nice porch where we brought some tables up, and we convene there occasionally. Brought up an umbrella so we can sit out on sunny days like today, which I should really be doing. I should be sitting on the porch instead of all this, but we got smokers out here too. It's, I don't know if it's a Texas thing or what, but hello. But yeah, we got smokers, and it's like, it's just annoying. So I can't really enjoy the porch as much as I would like. But when I can, I do, and I'll try and enjoy it more in this near future. Anyway, what the hell am I doing? Okay, this issue is sorted. Let's move on. I think we can call that ready to commit. I just need to let it pass its tests. Because why not? Was done with AI, so may not be 100% correct. Now, this is where we get into some issues, right? Like, you can, you can, yeah, again, in order to really validate this, it's kind of tricky. I mean, it's fine that they exist. We can just say this is a start, and that's fine. We can allow things to be flawed. It's one of the things about open source is we don't necessarily strive for perfect. Sometimes that's the enemy of the good. So we want to get this in there and kind of get a review started on it and get it, But yeah, I don't know if it's mad. It's not really like I'm not chasing a user base per se, but I do want to serve whatever user base we do have. And if there are people who are using Marlin on their 3D printers and they can choose these languages now, uh, yeah, HI is ambiguous, and we went for HG. um, so because it's the code for gold. So who could be offended? So that'll be fun. We'll lose that for a little while, and we'll see how it gets picked up. Again, we have so much stuff in here. Vietnamese is a language we now support, and I haven't seen a lot of, people calling from Vietnam and saying thank you. So it's all a matter of like, we'll put this out there, and if it works, it's fine. It's another thing we need to maintain, which is fine. We maintain so many already, and the idea is that we do want to be able to automate what we can. Languages is tricky. The way I do it, and I did a video on this at some point, is I made the exporter, when it does the export, you can ask it to use your local LLM or whatever LLM that you have connected through Olama, so it can be remote, I guess, these days. And you can ask it to do translations, and what I had the script do, I'll give you a quick peek at it, of the export, is it just asks the LLM, like, boop, 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 translate, here it is, you're an expert in language translation, and you'll be given this stuff. You'll be asked to provide new translation in the given language after being given the other ones. So it gets enough examples from the other languages that hopefully it understands the context better and that they all come together in the right context. So that's a mitigating against, like, a word that can be used in one field versus 3D printing, or that's a common usage, and then 3D printing you would use a different word, or in 3D printing there's some jargon or something. So we're hoping to like lean the LLM towards seeing that it's in jargon land. We could also surround it with other things that have been translated to help it, especially things that, like, for example, which I don't, but that's one of the things that I'm just sending one at a time is what I'm doing. So yeah, I could send instead several other examples of things that have been translated that are nearby, and that could help with things that are like similar, because oftentimes the translations that come out for the same type of string, even with like only one change, like an axis is different or something, or it has a different number on it, it'll give a different translation, even though it should give, something consistent. So that kind of shows you, like, the models that you can trust will probably be more consistent and produce the same translation for the same strings. But if they, and if they don't, then maybe there's ambiguity, and that's really the problem. So yeah, but I ran it, I guess, overnight. I ran it for I probably ran it for 2 days or something, and just let this machine get really warm. It's not warm now, but just doing video. But it was like really killing it running these translations prompting through Olama, and I used a couple different models. I tried a couple different ones, and I also gave it an option to not think, won't just translate. Because if I didn't have that, it would like waste time thinking and then take a really long time for translations. So by doing that, I just got, it's whatever, first intuition, I guess. I didn't do anything clever like set the temperature or anything funky like that. Really just kind of went with the defaults. And I should really set it up to do LM Studio, because with that one, I can set up the models to load with parameters that are consistent and that I like, for different things. And then, I don't know. Again, setting up all these kinds of like different profiles, this is very, very casual. It's like you just happen to have a llama, you can run this. If you don't, it'll ignore that. It won't try to load it. I used, here's some of the models I used. I think I ended up using Qwen 332B at one point, GPT-OSS, Llama 3, and I gave some inkling of how big they were and stuff. So not necessarily recommending using local models when you can, if you have something that is stronger in this area, use it. But this is one cool tool that once it's being run, we don't have to run it again. So we get, or, unless we want to get better translations, maybe. So it can do that kind of stuff, and this extends the translations that we already have. So I could run this, a language export, and it would also fill in the missing, that's the idea of this, it fills in the missing translations. So I could try it, see what it does for that language. It's been a while, again, since I ran it, but should I run it with Qwen 3? Let's try it with whatever. See what happens. It's always fun. So instead of that one, we'll use language export. Oop, language. Gotta learn how to spell. Language export. These machines, they don't like it when you don't spell things right. I don't get it. Alright, so keep going. So T5. Yeah, dash T is pretty much it. So, and then I can limit the languages that the number of translations that I do to like 5 just to see what the result looks like. Let's try doing HG and we'll see what it tells us. And single, oh, it's going to do a single export. So that's, I think, normal. And let's try it. Oh, no such file or directory. Because I'm looking at the wrong thing. Here's the one. Oh, no module named Olama. Hold on. I have to activate the right thing. Talk. Alright. That one has Olama. I didn't install Olama in my default base. I probably should just install it in my base conda because I use it for everything now. It's not something that's huge either. As far as I know, just having the Olama library or whatever there, it just calls through to your Olama install anyway. So, which is apparently up to date. So anyway, waiting. So it's found 6 distinct strings because I hold it N5, I guess. And then it's showing me what it's done. So I don't know why it stopped after 1 or what the end result was. Let me take a look at the files it produced. Let's copy these into place and see if there's any difference. Nope. Nope. Alright, that's again export. Well, I think I have to do a re-import. Hold on. Language imports. Let's do HG. Okay. Now let's see what we got in our out language file. I really should have him copy them into place, frankly. Okay, nothing changed. Again, still. But at least we know it did something. It did try. So maybe if I don't do the N5 part, it'll do something more interesting. At least we can watch it try and do more translations. So let me do language HG single. What I should do is get my help. This one actually has help. That's the good thing. I gotta really change import so it has help. But yeah, we got language, and you can do as many as you want. Single means output a single spreadsheet. Oh, okay. That's what I missed. So I don't want single. I told it to do -t, which means translate, and it did the 1. And now if I do the import, should get sorry, I'm slow on the uptake. There we go. Okay, so it removed a bunch though, which is weird. I don't know why it did that. But the idea is that you can just cherry pick anyway, and you know, if you like what it gave you, then you can insert it. But did it just move that from somewhere else? Ah, it looks like it is new. Let's see, let's make sure that it is. Yeah? hg.h, please. Yeah, it's new. It added a new thing. Oh, but it also stuck an extra quote on there. I don't know. What do you think? And stop Kasamapti, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I thought I had this working better. But maybe the N5 is screwing with it. Let's try taking that off. And see what you get. 997 this time instead of 6. It may have been that it found stuff that were already there. See, now it's putting it into like, yeah, completely new language that we don't like. I think I need to give it better examples. Like some of them seem good, but some others not so much. So yeah, at this point, if I hit what I'd like to be able to do is be able to hit Control C and have it still save the results. But I haven't implemented that. That's a thing you can do with try catch, actually, and you can catch that as an exception. The pressing of Control C in your script. At least Python anyway. Bed leveling, code English, let me translate. Yeah, so this one it's like doing some thinking here for some reason. It's getting very confused, so I kind of stopped it at the right moment. Anyway, some of the things it did are weird. So I don't know where it gets this from. Keeps outputting English, Hindi, Latin. What's this? What is this $sign stuff? Like, it's obviously not a very good choice of model. So I can see what's running and kill it. Stop. Stop Quen 332B. And grab a different model. I know this is probably pointless, but ones that I thought worked pretty well. I don't know, none of these really, but we can try DeepSeek maybe. See if we get a better result. It's going to take a minute, maybe not a minute, but a second to load the new model. And then it'll be able to start translating. And we'll see what kind of a mess it creates. But yeah, that's one thing I definitely need to do is Control C will stop and then ask you if you want to save the result. That's a good idea. Because otherwise I lose it. And I don't want to like necessarily lose what's been done, but I do want to stop these things often because they take a long time. You know, if you're gonna commit to this, they could take days. Oh well, this one being told not to think seemed to help a lot, but it's definitely not using. It's definitely not doing English. It's doing Hindi. But Hindi is nice. It's pretty. I just don't know where we get that font. But clearly the translations are, some of them seem awful long, let's say. Pretty though, again, I love the language. It's really beautiful. Every time I look at it, I get kind of wistful. All right, let's quit this. So anyway, yeah, I gotta definitely at least grab Control C so I don't get this ugly output when I do quit. I can just print Control C and be done with it. All right, so interesting. So you can kind of see the challenge there is, even if I were to run that against something like ChatGPT's latest model, or, OpenAI or whoever, I think I'd get not necessarily better results, but I'd have to go through a thing where maybe there's another layer with this language where I can say, okay, now translate this into quote unquote English. It's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. The way that it was done originally, it seems like it was probably the file was put into the AI as a whole and then asked to create output a translation as a whole. And with some models, that might be a better way to do it. Uh, and you might get better results. I don't know. Like extruder, Hilao. Um, sure, I'll take that. Apparently, this is a thing. If it's something that people like, then great. I mean, obviously the font is challenging. So, but same is true of Chinese, and we do that. So I don't know. Somehow we manage it. We use the phonetic Chinese most likely. I think is how it works. Um, but in general, yeah, same with Japanese. The kana is better sometimes, but they're very common. There are some common symbols, so you can like use those too. Anyway, language stuff. Ooh. So anyway, that wasn't necessarily what I planned to get into today, but there it is. Language stuff. And this did pass. And we don't necessarily need to include stop ka samapti. How many letters is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, it fits. It could be a menu item. Um, it is a thing. It's really just supposed to be the word end stop. Um, so I don't know why it's made anything else out of it. Let's not bother with that. I think that'll be understood if it's just end stop. So, okay, so now I just need the common thing that I do use for languages, which you've seen these is usually this, the L argument. Um, specify one or more languages. Okay, here we go. I am just those portmanteaus are fine in general, I think, but in general they're also weird. So I don't want to even be triggering nobody. So anyway, that's that. Uh, put that away. Yay, we got through an issue. Check it out. See, we can make progress. We're working together, you and I. Caffeine. Oh, okay. What a week it's been. I haven't been following anything, but I understand there was a State of the Union. I don't follow the State of the Union per se. The state of my current state is The automod is keeps coming at me whenever I start a stream. There's a couple of things that get smart detected, stream boo stuff. So hey, you got a free message, stream boo, yo. If you want to if you want to support someone who nags people on Twitch, get stream boo. There you go, free plug. All right, moving on. Let's see. Settings, we can put that away for now. I don't even want to even look at the website stuff. The resonance tester, very cool. You guys got to see this thing simulated. It's pretty cool. You're gonna like this. This is all part of the new resonance testing in Marlin. We've got a resonance sweep in there. It may not be your favorite way to sweep resonances, but we have it, and you can kind of see where the biggest resonances are, and you can say, oh, I need to remove this 55 hertz signal in my printer, which is really loud. I will turn on the input shaper at set 55 or so hertz to my thing and see what happens. And when you do, it magically makes things do cool stuff. So, you can connect to real devices over your web browser, which is pretty cool. I have a device I screwed onto my printer, which I haven't really hit yet with the resonance testing. I do need to do that real soon. But in general, it's all explained here on this page. Debuezas github.io USB-input-shaper-calibrator. Check it out for the latest shaper for the fixed time motion. The shapers are very cool, and there's a whole bunch to choose from. Check it out. Look how pretty the buttons are. So, oh, somebody's beeping outside. I don't know if you're picking that up. Not so much. Only when I speak. So yeah, you can fully tune all the shapers. It'll go through a whole bunch of different sweeps where it'll analyze the sweep in terms of each of these shapers types, looking for resonances and harmonics and all that stuff, and it'll figure it out based on. And now it currently has jerk support, junction deviation support. You can get a sense of how it changes based on your settings and so on, and you'll enjoy it. Wish we could have this interface like included in every version of Marlin, so to speak. But since it's a web page, it basically is. Just go there, open up your browser, hook up a USB device to your computer or whatever device this website is running on, and you can run this and get the info and put the G codes in, and you're good to go with a very smooth printing experience. Highly recommended. Anyway, I can gush all day about this. I hope I have it saved somewhere in a bookmark. Pretty sure I do. Yep, it's there. So closing, putting this stuff away. We're getting. I'm trying to get things closed and done. So let's see what else we got. Open Interpreter I was playing with, it's all right. Again, local models, your mileage may vary with local models. I really need to if we're gonna get local models that can do this kind of stuff, they can be reinforcement trained. I saw PewDiePie had a cool video about his reinforcement training of models, and his results using that. I don't need to keep light LLM around here. And his experience with that was, it's possible, basically, if you have enough hardware to throw at it. And you're willing to almost burn down your, stuff. Just make sure you have the right cables. But basically, you can train these models to be smarter and do things better in certain domains. You may lose some ability in other domains as a kind of a function cost, a cost of drift or whatever you want to call it. You're reusing neurons that might be used for other things because the model's only of a certain size. So entropy, so to speak, it's kind of like anything that's not a function that's not being used by some bacterium is not going to be preserved by natural selection because there's nothing selecting it. So similar idea here. But yeah, you can get models trained to do very specific things that can be smaller, and so that's really what I'm kind of thinking of is like, yeah, since the big models are being chased by all these big players and they've already trained them, if we can apply our reinforcement learning and retraining and using synthetic data and whatever to get at the domains that we need, just simply kind of like reinforced to run locally with a given model and have that model be much more specialized and use smaller models in that way. I think that's a good focus for people at our level. While the big players are chasing big training and getting more data if they can. Again, synthetic data is available to everyone. You can get models to spew it all day, but getting that to be quality and then have it also be useful is tricky. Bringing in examples from the real world, like having it, for example, rather than generate synthetic data, have the model specify something that it wants to use and go out and get that thing from the web. Even though it may have already been trained on that in the past, some of that gets diluted through all the training that happens over and over and the reinforcement learning. Like it's that dilution that you're trying to get rid of when it comes to reinforcement learning on things that you want to focus on. And with the smaller models, you can really do that. So it looks like very possible. So, burn the electricity, make models that are smaller that do really cool things that are useful for whatever. For example, that music model that isn't great, but it's good. Um, that you heard earlier um, is 9 gigs. It's smaller than 9 gigs, which is a pretty small size when it comes to a model. So there's a lot to be learned from whatever can be done, and then when it's very focused. I think it's a good thing. Anyway, what do we got? Getting distracted by my work, which is, I guess, what we want. LCD show E total on ESP32. So that got sorted. That turned out to be something simple. We're now maintaining, this is a new thing. News, everyone. Not big news, but enough to include, is that we are now maintaining our own fork of Arduino Core STM32 for a couple of things that we needed for BQBX. Um, and you can look at what the changes are. This one is apparently ahead and behind. Ahead and behind. So yeah, we got to sort out what we did, but we forked it from Keith, but we could have forked it from the original rather, and then used Keith's branch as just another branch. Uh, but I did bring in the changes from the upstream branch, so they could start to play with that. But this one here is the one that is up to date with Keith's. So it does have a name, and that's the one we're going to be pulling in uh, for older branches, legacy branches, if they're, and then we can patch it up with newer stuff from the upstream, which explains why this one is way ahead. Is because it's not intended to be used in builds of Marlin per se, but you can. You would just use the upstream branch for that, or whatever versions we specify. And we generally do hard specify versions so that, when you download the thing, it's going to work. If you download it in the future, it'll still download the old thing that it was guaranteed to work with, and it won't try to download the latest, which may have breaking changes. So common practice, but so locking things to certain versions through the platform IO INI files is what I'm talking about there. Okay, so we're maintaining this so that we can keep our own changes, and if we need to do other things, we can. We've got a few branches like this at this point. In fact, I'll show you all the branches that we've got. We've got 12 repos now. Those repos are Marlin configs, Arduino Core, documentation, builds, auto build, TMC stepper is now kind of like on our front porch now. So we're kind of, I guess, we're the new maintainer of TMC stepper. I guess I can say that almost officially, but I know that the original developer is still around. Timu is still around, so uh, when he wants to work on it, of course he can, and I consider his upstream to be canonical, so any changes that happen there will come into this. But this is just for our own purposes. We know that it's compatible with what we've got. We can start making changes like the new step, what's it called, stall guard 4. Yeah, get all that kind of stuff in there. Get more caffeine in here. I'm almost out. I'm gonna have to make more. Hold on. Too much caffeine. All right, then we have, of course, we've been maintaining the HAL for UHG-lib. 2MC 26 stepper we don't, but we don't really need. But there's older versions of Marlin that refer to it, so we might as well keep it. Uh, and then this is for ourselves, of course. And then we have new liquid crystal, and we have Trinamic 2130 as well, which I guess maybe this might not be needed anymore forever. We might not need this ever, but it has been updated in time. So I don't know, 2024, and then same here, 2024. So there are probably reasons for those being there, but anyway, uh, these are the things that we now maintain alongside other stuff. Marlin itself, quite busy. Past year of commit activity, you can see it's slowed down a bit in recent times. Mainly waiting for, I've been kind of like being gentle with it. I'm like, there's parts that are stable, I just don't want to break. I'll admit there are parts that I've hit hard, like recently with the refactor of putting things into a motion like class, so that everything had to have a motion dot on the front of it. That kind of created a little bit of chaos, and I still have PRs that I need to bring up to date with that. But in general, that was the kind of thing that was like long time coming, and it's like it's kind of it's a very rote thing to do. I tried to resist the temptation to make other refinements as I was going, and just do all the renames that needed to be renamed, and be done with it. And so that was, something to just get through. If I had my druthers, I would have put in my LCD refactor a long time ago as well. But here we are. So that'll be right after 213. We'll be hitting that hard. That's something I'm actually enthusiastic about, because it keeps my momentum up when I have something enthusiastic to work on that I know might be breaking, or tricky anyway. I don't think it's breaking things. It's been around so long, and but it's incomplete, and we need to get it done. But anyway, things like that can come into play and bring the momentum up again. Anyway, I'll put this away. Those are our repos. Um, we now need to fix Wi-Fi upload corruption on consecutive transfers. So, okay, this was a very recent one. And I did a little cleanup on it. Let's see where we're at. Right, we clear the file writer. I'm kind of putting a little faith in the developer on this one. Obviously, it's not putting backdoors into Marlin or anything. It's very simple approach, but it requiring a different approach. And then finally, at the end, is doing all the clears, basically clearing the state. Could almost make a function for that if we're doing it more than once, but guess we're not. Or, you put it all into a structure and then you just clear the structure, that kind of thing. Either way, just going over it real quick with my brain and seeing if there's anything that I would take issue with. And at this point, all I can say is if this is the fix and this actually works. Like, MKS UI is not something I touch a lot, but I've been wanting MakerBase to come along and do some changes on that, like mainly filament runout, because we had like our own support for it, and all of these this particular UI was doing its own thing, but getting them integrated, I can see why that's tricky, because they are not easy to connect right now. The problem, let's put it this way, the code base connected to UI, and things like passing events around, is wanting in Marlin for various reasons. But the idea that we could pass messages around for state changes and have those then be picked up by the things that need them is a cool idea, but doing it in a way that's static is kind of the approach we need to make. And So it's kind of been off to the side. So one of the things that we've tended to do is like we let things elaborate. We see what develops in the code base naturally, organically, from the needs of manufacturers or whatever. And then we take those and we try to craft an API around it once we see the patterns that are emerging in the way that things are being used, rather than providing an API and building that out. Partly because so much of what we do is related to maintaining things and bringing in changes on top of what's already there, ad hoc changes, because the code base is such that contributors typically bring things in one little bit at a time rather than a whole refactor. A refactor is more of a project that we undertake, and then we get a few developers on it, and we do a separate branch or whatever, and then that we have a lot of discussion around those things. But anyway, what was I on about? Oh, so things like maker-based UI. It's like I'd love to provide better APIs for this, and we have like extensible UI, and so to some extent that can be leveraged. And I believe that most of our UIs now are in some way connected to EXTUI, and this is one of them. So it uses EXTUI as a pass-through layer for stuff that it needs to access or tell Marlin. So it's sort of EXTUI was meant to be that layer of messaging in a more direct and static way, so that it compiles efficiently and doesn't require extra RAM for message passing or some kind of more generalized system. More generalized systems can be useful in some ways because they may eliminate redundancies that you have to bring up in other systems. Um, but when it comes to like, we have complete control over the UI, over all the events happening, and so we can directly send messages, or we can do direct calling and just tell the thing, do this now. So it comes down to choices in terms of architecture. Um, if we're targeting ARM more, we can get away with building something around more of a real-time OS or RTOS approach. But our approach so far has been fine. But definitely, again, it's wanting in terms of maintainability and being able to work with the code, because it's a challenging code base to say the least. So the kind of reworks that I'm talking about, like the LCDs and stuff, there are things that have just been in order for a while, that and putting things in the motion namespace or whatever is like it's just kind of reorganizing things and making it clearer as you read through whole elements of the code base, including especially the LCD side of things. What parts are, oh, this is a local variable, as opposed to, oh, this is from motion. Like, it's not clear without giving it some kind of cue, like the fact that it has motion on the front of it. So I chose dot notation. I know that probably double colons stand out more, and maybe that's what you really want, is for things to stand out more. When you start stacking them, colon, colon, thing, colon, colon, I don't know, it gets annoying. So keeping names short takes some of that pain, but then it reduces, it adds ambiguity, and I don't know. It's an art sometimes as much as anything. So what are we doing? Okay, checking this. I think this is good. I'm reviewing it positively and calling it a bug fix. MQS UI. Um, hmm? Try to keep these things short and sweet. I didn't do it much on this. I might have cleaned it up a little. And let's stick, I don't know, a good old one of these on there. Thank you much for your contribution. I always forget to stop and thank people at the end of the process of merging. We'll get MKS UI into better shape one way or another. Moving on. There we are at has junction deviation and all, or and any of these. Okay, just a little compile error fixy fix. I think this may already be, no, not merged. Okay. Typically we just call these band-aid fixes, and so the icon for that is a little, you can hardly tell what it is, but that's a bandage. The kind that is mass manufactured here in the West. Compiler with Degas LCD plus FT motion. There, that was slightly shorter. And boop. Boop. There you go. Boom. Look at all these things we're working out today. We're getting stuff done. This one is it passing tests, I think is the question on this particular one. Because I was trying to mix this up with the newest code where I changed the motion stuff. And this is kind of, in some ways, I don't know, maybe it's intentional to like catch the, to scrutinize the code more closely. You have to sometimes break it. Safe homing XY, yep, that's a motion thing now. So which one is this? It's telling me the MIT, but not the PR it comes from. Darn it. Let me go back to that. Okay, there was nothing else there. There we are. It was this one, 25382. Oh yeah, good old 25382. How could I forget you? Ender 5 S1. How do I love thee? Okay, so we have now checked out the code from that. I don't necessarily need to see the files on the side, do I? They kind of look pretty. Might as well keep them there. Oh, I'm so glad we got past all that language export junk. That was annoying. I mean, just in the sense that I hate to look at those scripts and think about LLMs, because LLMs have messed me up. I think they've messed everyone up, but the way they've messed me up in particular is like I keep putting stuff off thinking, well, the LLM will fix it. I'll just have an LLM work on that. I don't need to worry about it right now. It's not that simple. So what happened to safe homing XY? Does it still exist? It does. There, it can be referenced. Here, it must be prefixed. Okay, I think we're good with that. Let's see if that fixes the build. We can do a testing right here, right now. We don't need to set it up. We don't need to send it up to find out if it's broken. We can just ask. Let's see, it's the Mega 2560 test with ABL. Let's do it. MF test. Look at that. Little insight into how I can run Marlin testing, and so can you if you're developing Marlin. MF test is very cool. Little script that I threw together. It also can if with -A, you can just do a build of whatever you got right at the moment. But anyway, this is what I got, and I'm gonna ask it to use number 3 and go. Now it's doing the build, and look how fast that is. Oh, that's fine. That's actually not a real error. That's just some kind of weird race condition that occurs with certain builds sometimes because the files don't exist at the time that after they've been created. It takes a little moment for the file to actually come into existence. Meanwhile, the code is going, oh, okay, that file I just created must be ready to go. Let's go. But it doesn't exist yet. So, okay, what else did I do with this? Oh, I had apparently put some other things in. Yeah, that doesn't actually work. I did find that does not work. So let's put that away. What's this translate? Oh, I put some translations in. Okay, good. Good for me. Okay, moving on. So, let's fix that. So this would be called the modified code. And this would be part of the added code. I recently translated from Chinese, which didn't have anything surprising in it. And then we get rid of this. Throw this out. You're out of here. Get out of here. Go. You're useless. Anyway, so that's good to go. And then I can just force push this for testing. Anyway, this one's not going to get merged anytime very soon unless I get more eyes on it and more clearing it up, because there's some stuff on here that I can't necessarily support in the upstream Marlin. Crowdy Cloud, for example. Crowdy Wi-Fi, I would hope at least we can do. But we probably should support it as a Wi-Fi flag with the particular RTS, because I think it's RTS plus Wi-Fi equals Crowdy Wi-Fi. I don't know. And also a menu to item to reset the Wi-Fi, which might be useful to add to as a general option. Who knows? But anyway, then there's a thing called BL Touch and Z Limit, which is part of the code that was added for this very particular machine. And I don't think I've integrated it very well, and I don't fully necessarily understand it. I haven't looked at it in a while. So you can look at it yourself, but it's I think it's some of the modified parts of G28 or G29. Yeah, it's modified parts of G29. Which will look more Chinese for me to translate. So anyway, I got a plugin for that. Or I think I just asked it. I might have asked an AI to do that for me. LM Studio, help me. Mostly GPT OSS, I guess. It's my helper with things, but there's probably good Chinese models that are good for that. I'm sure the English to Chinese translations are great. Anyway, this one, Ender 5 S1, would love to get it in there, but it's a tricky one. Meanwhile, use Crowdy's branch if you want to get newer Marlin features in there into the Crowdy branch. You know, the trick is to, whatever version they've used, merge in the latest LTS for that version into that to get like whatever we brought in. Most of those, I don't know if this particular one is new enough to have things like fixed time motion and stuff. So you're, and again, so a lot of this is kind of to cater to its touchscreen, which I don't think is a very good touchscreen. I would recommend just putting a regular graphical LCD on it and be done with it. And in that case, you can kind of treat it as a more generic Ender machine. It doesn't have any Core XY on it. It does have a moving Z bed and stuff. So, you know, again, it's like, it's got some there are cool things about it. The one thing that isn't so cool about it is its Crowdy RTS. The one thing I would do, but what I probably ought to do is take all the Crowdy RTS stuff out of this, get rid of it completely, and just get all the hardware support in there. So you could use a graphical LCD with the machine. And then, like, do I add, like, for example, did I add a whole new board? No. Just the, not there anyway. Added code, let's see, modified would include board. Hold on a minute. Okay, so it doesn't have any kind of custom board, so this is good. If you have an Ender 5 S1, you just need to use the STM32F401RE Crowdy. That's your option. And set it up the way you like. Um, and then if you want to use the stock machine that hasn't had a graphical LCD, so that's what I'll probably do is I'll set it up with an example code or like example config that I'll label as the Ender 5 S1, so we can at least say it's supported, but with GLCD only. Sorry, um, until the RTS stuff is worked out, because I don't like it particularly. I don't know what the Wi-Fi is on the board. I'll have to look at that too. But that might be one thing I can keep here too, is the Wi-Fi stuff. If it doesn't rely on the RTS display being connected. Um, and then of course the other stuff that it does is kind of like, it has its own BL Touch Z limit homing. Um, and that's kind of one of the challenges, is I haven't reviewed that. And it's hard to review without getting this on a machine and running it and checking it out and seeing how it currently runs, and then comparing it to what I get. Like if I turn on debug leveling with their fork, that'd probably be a good way to look at the stock result that I get. I think I had some challenges with flashing firmware onto the machine in the first place. I know it's got I think it has a lot. It has a firmware lock, or I should say a bootloader lock on what you can flash, and you have to do this little ballet dance here with M934, 936, sorry, M936 dot 3 or something like that, or whatever, or I think it's P3S3V, so I don't know what it is. Well, anyway, OTA is the V. Yeah, so if you say V2, it upgrades the motherboard firmware. So you have to send M936 V2 to its current firmware before it'll allow you to flash. And what this does is it writes to the EEPROM, and it writes to a byte in the EEPROM that the bootloader is looking for. And the bootloader, if it doesn't see that, it won't let you upgrade. So it's kind of important. So this is one of the things that would be included for sure, M936. And it looks like we already have an M936, but this one is expanded for the Crowdy RTS. So this is similar to other, apparently, this isn't new. If I go down, let me see. Yeah, no, this is not new. So this does apply to other machines already. So I forget which ones, but yeah, it's one of the things that probably need to, if we're going to document everything, we'll document that, I guess, at some point in the giant documentation pile process, while I'm also working on Auto Build Marlin and reviewing pull requests. All right, enough complaining. Let's put this away. Moving on. I would think one thing I should complain about is my funding is really drying up. So if you can contribute, please help. Please, won't you please help? Won't you please help? This one's broken. Let's see what's going on with this. It's my best Sally Field. Help me out, man. I do this work for effectively for whatever you want to give me. If it's for free, I'll do it for free, but I don't really want to have to get a real job. I don't want to have to necessarily be... That's a weird one. Oh, this one's maybe more related to this. Feed rate percentage. I'm guessing that's something that got moved to motion. Yep, it sure did. So where's the problem? Where's the line? Where's it broken? Does Degas display def .cpp? Okay. I believe you. One of these. There's one that says motion. There's one that says motion. There's one that says motion. Motion, motion, motion. Motion. Should I look for one that doesn't have a dot on the front? That's probably the best way to go, huh? All right. Make me use regular expressions. Um, huh. All right, that's probably the way to go rather than word. Yeah, there we go. So that should be motion. Good catch. I should have done this sooner. Motion itself is fine. Right. And power loss has its own idea about that. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. And I guess we can just test the build. Let's see, it's RE Creality again. Very popular, the CR6SE, okay. RE Creality is number, I guess I could have just copied that, but it's 65. And we're doing the number 5. And I need to probably, I've been meaning to do that, is make the tests actually announce, like, not just that it's this, but also put in, like, what the MF test line would be for it. But that's kind of tricky. I have to find where exec test is defined first. And then, for each of these, it has to print out what test it's doing. And there it is, it's doing this test, and it prints that. So it prints whatever I'm going to send it, so I could send it more stuff about what's being done, if I know what's being done. But sending it the number would be useful if there is a number that's available. That's the tricky part. Is there even a number available? I would have to say, I would have to manually put it in. Oh, ugly. I don't like that. The way that it runs through these files is as a script, so that's kind of the problem. It's like if it could evaluate each of these separately as a little unit, which I really been meaning to do, is like make each of these into just a config file that has like a title and the options that are enabled and what their values are, and you know, like basically INI files is what I wanted to do. And then that would grab whatever, if you had, because there are ways to like combine using a config and then enabling. So it'd be a big conversion process for all the tests to be converted into INI files, which I wouldn't look forward to, but it's one way to like organize them. Although this way of organizing them has been in some ways convenient because they are not huge, they're grouped together, and they're not ugliness, they're not the worst things. They're hard to follow sometimes, but in general, like if you were searching for a config option and you had to also search for the lowercase version because it's in an INI file, that kind of throws things off a little bit sometimes. So yeah, it's a tricky place to be. Anyway, where were we at? Oh, right. This Crowdy CR6 SE, well, we don't care too much about it. That's another one that's being put off for a while. It looks like it passed the test anyway, so we're good to go. Oh, do I need to? I should rebase it. While I am here, which I meant to do with the other branch as well. So yeah, these Creality machines, it's like getting them supported. The CR6 SE, I don't know why that's a similar issue. It's got its own display and stuff. Oops. that happens. So one of the issues I've had recently is GitHub Desktop likes to crash. So every time it crashes, I have to yarn start it again. Yarn start, which if you don't know is like Node or something. Either way, it's an Electron app, so this is how you build them. Yarn. You make them out of yarn. That's why they're such a tangled mess. I'm sure there's somebody joking about that already somewhere. Let's see, moving on. I guess you have to have an opinion in this world to be interesting online. I'm always hedging my opinions because I'm always like getting slapped down. Oh, man. But in general, remember the first time I had a job, man, and they were like, "Hey, we like your opinions as a coder. We want to ask you what we should do in this situation." And be like, "What? You want to know what I think about something?" And like, "Well, it's your domain, dude." Like, I guess you have a point there. This is where I thrive. You know, you guys are the salespeople, the managers, or whatever. All I know how to do is make little bits and bytes bounce around on the screen. This is probably not going to ever get merged, but here we are. Here we are. M98 is there if we ever need it. When I'm deleting these branches, it's just my local copy, so I'm assuring that I always get the latest one upstream, even if and that I haven't, you know, got any conflicts when I go to download it later. This might be a common practice, I don't know, but it's one of the things that I do. This MFRB thing is just rebasing from Marlin firmware rebase. Get it? MFRB. And let's find those changes. Okay, so here, fan class. Did I change anything here that matters? Oh, yes. This is now this. Oop, a little shorter. That's what a refactor looks like. There you go. That's a refactor, baby. And up you go. Off you go, fan class. The reason that hasn't been pushed yet is because I haven't figured out kickstart without using up extra bytes. I should just suck it up and not, I don't know. I think I might have been using like a static or something similar to that previously. I'll review the kickstart code again and just see what's going on and what my stupid issue is, and then once I figure that out, this could go. A very simple refactor. It only touches 42 files, which is nice, but it brings fans under their own class and namespace. So basically, controller fan update turns into, you can see all that's kind of being changed a little bit. I don't know if that's just white space. Hold on. Yeah, a lot of it is. So, but you can kind of see that I'm doing like bringing a few things into better order. I don't know exactly why that's there, except it is. Changing the way that Kickstart works is kind of the issue I think I was stuck on last time, but it is this file right here for controller fan. Controller fan can do its own thing. It has its kick end, MS, and all that. And so, yeah, I think that I may have sorted it out with controller fan just by keeping a single kickstart for it. And then for the other fans, I don't know why I'm not doing it the same way. But anyway, It's one of those things I got stuck on, but it's a new class. Um, it's pretty simple. Defines a fan. It takes all the stuff out of temperature that was fan oriented and kind of makes it a little less complicated, a little bit, a little bit. But also, if you have a fan object, you can now do things with it, turn it on and off. That's kind of things you want to abstract everything into a class like this. Like, why wasn't it a class before? I don't know. Just got around to it, several years ago, and then never quite got it merged because, again, got stuck on that one thing. Trying to make sure that it didn't grow in size as a feature, even though it's probably one of the smaller things. Maybe use up an extra byte or two per fan, and I was all worried about that. So here we are, but I'll get back to it. Anyway, right now, just doing a little cleaning up, catching up with pull requests, making sure that they're up to date. At least my own are merged. 3D filament, 3D chameleon is really cool. I highly recommend building one if you can, or ordering one that's pre-built, because they're a great way to do filament changes on the cheap. You just need a tube that connects, 4 things coming in, or at least more than one coming in together in a Y connector, and then you just pull it back out, and the next one goes in. Very simple, but you just have to coordinate it with this chameleon device, and it's very cool. I highly recommend checking it out. 3D Chameleon. Especially in these troubled times when there's you don't want to have a separate device that has its own memory and stuff on it. You just, well, I believe the Chameleon does actually. It has its own motor, and so you're driving a motor with it. But if you have extra motor drivers on your Marlin board, it would be conceivable to drive a Chameleon using those 2 extra motor connectors on the Marlin board. So we should talk about that in the future, because there are definitely boards that have extra motor connectors that are unused, and would make great boards for a multi filament thing that isn't so complicated that all it is a Y joint, and as close to the nozzle as possible, because the closer you are, the less retraction you have to do the filament change. But with this setup, you do need purging. That's the one thing, as opposed to, a setup where you have multiple nozzles. But we all know that. They still did their purging as well, but typically much less. Anyway, where were I? Oh, right. Next issue was the chameleon filament changer. Okay. That's all set to go. All I'm doing is rebasing that. But yeah, the full change of the chameleon is to make it like other tool changers, or at least to give it a simple tool change. When you say T0, T1, it'll do the right thing on the chameleon, which is to move the motors to where they need to go, but the way it does it is by doing pulses, and those pulses are done by hitting a button on the frame a certain number of times. And so it's just one button at the end of the frame does a material change, or a complete material change if you want. Same nozzle, but different material, fine. Go for it. But it does that, and what I have now is works in progress notes of what I'm supposed to do to do the moves, and I have to kind of sort these out. But there's also, I think this might be a little bit outdated at this point, but I think the way it works now is you just basically bump a end stop, and it could just be even double as your end stop, honestly, if you set it up right, a certain number of times in a certain period of time, and it knows that, oh, you meant, this means change to color 3. This means change to color 4. So very simple. Very, very simple. And you can kind of imagine building out your own chameleon type device that would take the same kind of input from a button. But of course, the other thing we can do is make again, if you have the chameleon as a separate device, you could just use a GPIO pin and connect that to the chameleon as opposed to the button. And then you have a much simpler way of telling it what things to change to. And if you have two GPIO pins, you could just use those to specify the color number by turning them on and off 0, 1, 2, 3. So anyway, a lot of ideas around it, but the main thing that's tricky with this is just the reason it needs to be like other tool changers or the other multi material devices is because of the ramming sequence where it needs to do a little in and out of the filament of the nozzle to make sure it compacts the end nicely, and that when it retracts, that it keeps that pointed shape. And it does a cool thing where it'll pull back a certain amount to cool the filament and bring coolness, as it were, remove some of the heat, at least enough to so that when it goes back in, it takes some of that heat out, and then make sure that the end is, pointy. So again, it's going to be dependent on different materials. I can't imagine this would work well with like soft materials, but in general, it does work well. And it's been, I know that the developer of the chameleon worked a lot on this particular aspect to make sure that the ending is nice, so that you, because there's issues where the filament swells and then it won't go back in the nozzle because it cooled. So that can be a problem for certain types of material. But if you get past that, or if you're using a tube that constrains it enough, then uh, or the tube itself is the thing that goes directly in as far down to the nozzle, then you're golden. So work it out. The best way to do the splitter, I hear, is resin printing. Uh, but again, that's the whole idea. Is the chameleon is something you print all the parts yourself, and then you can just use the software, the firmware that goes with it. But yeah, again, if we can get it set up where you could use two separate motors to do the filament changing, like you could effectively just call it axis I and axis J, and then do all this stuff through that, right in the Marlin firmware, by moving axis I and axis J the way you wanted, to move the two steppers to select this filament. That would be pretty cool. So I don't know. Things, food for thought. Food for thought. The thing is, they only move a certain little amount, like they move a certain number of degrees or whatever, and then they move back, and so they're not doing a whole lot. It's just about selecting the thing. And there's probably some way you could imagine a cam that would work with like one stepper motor to select 4 different positions, or 4 different filament paths or something. But anyway, again, food for thought, stuff to think about. So where were we? Oh, right. We were looking at old pull requests. Let's look at some more recent ones in the last couple of weeks. Oh, that poor Yarn app. I don't know why it keeps crashing on me. GitHub Desktop dev is unstable, folks. I don't know if you knew that. Maybe there's a way I can put it into a mode where it's more stable. Or use an older branch that's more stable or something. I don't know. Hey, stop messing with me. All I want to do is look at the pull requests and figure out which one I want to use. So major cleanup of comment spacing from 2 years ago. I think I might have to close that one at this point. I get it, but I think it might be overdone. Yeah. Might be some things that are right and correct in this that are actually oh, no, not those though. So like if I merge this in, it's from 15 days. Wow, from 15 days ago. That's pretty good. That's being kept up to date pretty well, I would say. I give this guy credit for caring a lot. So yeah, motion. I don't know if that's supposed to, that's the whole point, was to make the spacing less. Oh wait, I also called set extruder duplication. So yeah, just those things, I guess, are what happened here. All right, moving on. Those are merges for you. With the merge, it's the bottom thing that matters. With the rebase, it's the top thing that matters. I don't know. Anyway, let's take a quick look at this because it is rather on the older side. And the problem is it changes 247 files, which I think I have to close it because it's too much. It's just too much. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Like, we can't care about this stuff that much. There are certain things I do, like maybe, you know, featured at slash firmware retract. I'll take that one thing, you know? Sure. But that's the thing, cherry picking from all this is like utterly ridiculous. 247 files. Now I know that if it was me and I was doing this myself, I would be like all over it, and I would get it merged right forthwith, no problem. Um, and you know, I can't take too much issue with it as I look at it. I'm honest, it is just rather large. It touches a lot of files. Thing is, it only touches comments, and in that regard, it's, you know, fine. But the thing is, with things like this, it's like my custom is if I have two sentences on the same line, then I put a period on the first one and the second one, not just the first one. So this kind of thing is like, you're messing with my style. The reason I don't put a period on one that has only one comment on its line is because it's implied. You don't need it. But if you have two sentences, you do need a period on the first one at least. And at that point, it looks awkward if you don't put a period on the second one. So that's why I do both. Simple, right? It makes sense in my whatever aspy way. Everybody has to be a little bit weirdly obsessive when it comes to writing code. It's just one of the things you hit. So I can't take all that. I just can't take this. I can't take it. I wish I could. Honestly, there's a lot of this that I don't take issue with, but it is too much. Things like these are just like, it's too much to review and undo. So I would have to say too much. I'm closing it as too much. I hate to do that, especially unceremoniously. I don't want to like. I should put a comment on there, but I don't know what to. I close some of Classic Rocker's stuff occasionally, and like this from 2 years ago, extra pro UI features might work, you know, to some extent. And look, is keeping it up to date again. You got to give him props for keeping things up to date. This might be one of the trickier ones to keep up to date. So what got changed here? Is, I think, bug fix. Put this basically into a bracket, mesh bed leveling, etc. Or I may have taken it out because it was already there. I don't know. This is one of the trickier things. It's like when you come across a change you're not sure why or what you should keep, you got to look at what was really changed initially and see if that's the thing that matters. I think the one thing I changed was, I might have changed this to this. You know, so if I decide that I want to just allow this through as is, That's the one change I think that mattered from my pile here. The one thing I can see anyway. So the other thing I would do is before I upload this, I'll take a look at UI API and see if it is matching or what the changes were meant to be. And then here, whatever was being added or modified. Let's see, anything? It might be that, but I'm not sure. Again, we'll look at motion.h and see what that was going on there. But let's take a look at what zprobe slow millimeter looks like here. It's already, well, it's extern there. And I did make a local copy that is that. It looks like I think this is what's going on here. So it wants to be this. Something like that, I think is what he was looking for. Yeah, yeah, okay. I think that's everything that comes from that particular, using my educated guess, having reviewed this a couple times. And finally, probe CPP. This gets what? It's all being removed, or something I changed is not applicable here anymore, but it might be applicable elsewhere. Zprobe fast millimeter per second. That's the way that has to work, right? I think that's what I needed to do. What else? Motion position, let's see, is current. Okay, so that was, used to be called current position. Now it's just called motion position, which is very vague, I know, but we haven't done a thing where it's like, it is basically the tool position, effectively. You know, but I was loath to call it tool position, while we also have extruders and stuff like that as a thing. I don't know. We have to. This new refactor coming up is going to be more interesting than anything. Anyway. So I'm assuming that's that. And then anything else? Nope. I think that's. Let's assume that something like that was happening here. And again, I'm going to have to look at probe CPP. So let's look at all the files where I had issues. UI API, motion, and probe CPP. And we'll review those now, shall we? Now, it's not necessarily bad in any way. It's just 38 files, you know. It's a lot of files to touch. For, you know, although, you know, generally speaking, the quality is good. Okay, so one thing that's happening here is bilinear bed leveling is now inheriting an x distance, y distance value configurable based on the mesh boundaries. Anyway, that as a lookup from somewhere. Meanwhile, this again, this which used to be a constant is now becoming a variable, mesh min. In mesh bed leveling, we are calling we are calling initialize now. That's a new thing. We've got report mesh being moved. Not a big deal. Okay, that's all that's happening there. Meanwhile, this mesh bed leveling is now getting a different mesh x distance, which is it's also using a mesh max and mesh min variable. Now, bilinear bed leveling actually does have a parameter for that, which is, I guess, maybe being changed from a local one to a global one now, so that it can be modified from Pro UI. So there are probably other things here, but these are the other main things. I'd kind of rather these were done one at a time rather than two, but maybe they're connected. But anyway, this see home before leveling apparently is now always done with LCD Pro UI or something like that. So then now these are now variables going on. They could be const if the Pro UI isn't enabled, so that'll come later when we look as we go down past feature. But I'm reviewing here. Do you mind? Doing some reviewing. All right, so here we got cancel leveling, redraw the screen. Okay, so yeah, again, this is stuff for the screen to do. Mesh viewer. So again, this is getting kind of tightly integrated, you could say, with our core code. This would be an area where it'd be better to have UI, ext UI get some extensions to handle this kind of thing. Like if there's going to be a new callback that only applies like on mesh update, we already do that. So maybe this thing should have an ext UI interface on it. I think I've been calling for that for a while. I was going to make one, but I'd rather just call directly and keep it the way it is forever rather than refactoring it closer to what we need and for modern support of all displays. We're trying to generalize here, I know it's like it makes these forks get further apart, which maybe is a good thing in the long run, but I hope we can work it out. Let's see, motion position versus probe offset is what's happening here with things that are happening in G29. Okay, I'm kind of glossing over this stuff. Drawing the mesh point, okay, part of UBL G29. Then you either smart fill the mesh or we do a blocking move. Okay. Interesting. So that's just what Pro UI wants to do. Meanwhile, again, variables changing into constants. Doing this variable to constant thing might be something I could do as a separate step to kind of make this less ugly as well. Because why not have these be, constant EXPRs where they need to be. And okay, and then here we have serial delay stuff happening. Again, these are changing. Yep. Okay, so all that is good. I've reviewed this before, so it's like I'm not seeing anything too surprising. I just haven't gotten to the parts where I was looking at things I wasn't sure about yet. But I will hopefully recognize them, even without having had a proper breakfast. Let's see. Free probe plate slow and fast. That's new. Right. If any has bed probe backlash code or whatever, then that used to be the old condition for this stuff here. And I guess that's just being moved. All has mesh. Interesting. Okay, so some of that changes in ways that I'm not entirely confident in, but not having a bed probe, I see that's one of the reasons that's there. Yeah, so yeah, okay, whatever, I'll come back to that eventually. Temp string, fine. this is bed level tools stuff as part of Pro UI, so I kind of like, I'm a little agnostic about what happens in Pro UI. And then there's a lot of changes here, but I got to look at them. Make sure everything's up to date, which I think it should be. Starting up. Okay. Leveling, start, etc., etc. Okay. A lot of things changing here with this. I think a lot of it's just being moved to a separate file, I believe, something like that. I don't know. Draw control menu as opposed to prepare menu. Again, I have to kind of trust this is sort of bringing parity from the real Pro UI upstream down to our level of more generalization. And then this is a little different. Fillman is moved into a different spot. So some of that has to be accounted for in the way that we do like the ordering of things. I just want to make sure that where we're doing menu item counting and weird shit like that. Which we do in some places. It's annoying. Oof, there's a lot of files here, aren't there? I think this is the one I was caring about at the moment. Remind me if I wasn't. Let's see. Yeah, so just checking it out. Leveling done. Plot. Okay. Okay. Sure, I trust you. Some of these things may just be moving, which is why there are so many apparent changes that probably aren't changes. Then there's BD sensor support. That's very nice. I hope people are. That would be nice to see people using BD sensors on their Ender 3 V2. I always thought it was meant for bigger beds, but it's a very fast probe. I highly recommend you check it out. So it's a bed distance sensor, so it can just sweep over the bed. It doesn't have to stop. Do any of that Z motions crap. Speaking of crap, where was I looking for? Oh, this right here. I won't. One of the things is this website, GitHub, is kind of screwy. When you touch things, you suddenly the scroll goes off, and so you can't really touch things. It sucks. I guess I could have just searched for this, but anyway. So when I did like the thing where I was trying to show more lines above here, this was what I was looking for, was this counting, where it's like, okay, I'm counting bed tramming, okay, plus, so there's the 3 accounted for up here. So now I would move this around so that it matches this more closely. So I actually have to go and change that just to make it more correct. So at this point it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, am I looking at the right thing? I hope I am. I think I am. Okay. So those are still at the top, so that's cool, but they just rearranged a little. So I still have to count them. Let's count them. We're doing some counting. Here we go. First of all, let's look at the old code so we know what we're doing. And indeed, 1 plus tramming plus these 3. Now it's going to be 4. That one's always there. 2, 3, 4. And then the plus bed tramming comes after the has Z offset item. So I just want to make sure that's correct. Okay, there we go. And then the 2. Where were the 2 before? The 2 before were this one and maybe that one. Not sure. I know it's annoying. Oh, was I also counting go to the back item? I don't remember. 1, 2, 3 plus bed tramming plus 2 more. 1. Really, this one was counted maybe? I guess I was expecting it to always have something. Okay, so instead of plus 2, now we got 4 plus the mesh bed leveling, or plus the Z offset item thing. And does it have the mesh bed leveling anymore? Doesn't even seem to have that anymore. This might be all out of date and out of whack. No, yeah, it's gone. So that's gone away. Replaced by, I don't know, we'll just look at what's there, I guess. All right, so 4 plus. Let's go with 1, 2, 3, even 5 maybe. I gotta check and see if the back items are being counted in other places. Hold on. 1. In this case, this one is using 1 plus 2 times, oh, I see, has bed probe, has mesh, plus disabled bed probe, there we go, and enabled that, so yep, that checks out. So yeah, the back item is being counted, so that's all I really wanted to know here. But yeah, I have to, this is the one thing, we just have to revamp these every time they change, so part of the review process. I could ask the developer to do it, but might as well do it myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus the Z offset item thing has that or that. Then the bed tramming. Then preheat count greater than 1. There's a sub menu for that. So it's always just 1. Instead of preheat count, it looks like. Plus, and I would actually even say like has preheat, should have preheat count equals 0 at that point. I do believe. Then we have, and generally speaking, there'll always be a preheat, but then there's that one. So maybe that's the reason I did plus preheat count there. It's because it was just like, oh, I might as well just count. But it's always 1. So, yeah. It's always just 1. So let's go with plus enabled has preheat. There we go. I feel better about that. Either one gives you just 1 item. Then you got 1. Then you got 2 times this one being true. Did I get that right? Yep. And then 1 more, it says, but there isn't 1 more. There may have been before, but there isn't now. So let's see if there was before. Do a quickie. What was that one before that got removed? It was the language one, so that's the one we're removing now. Okay. Now we got to do the same bloody thing for any menu that's changing in this file. So I might get a little annoyed in a minute, but let's check what we got here. 1 for the back item. This again situation where it's 2 times that plus 1 times that. All right. The thing and the enabled thing. Let's make sure the, did I do the similar thing there? Disabled and enabled, I see. And then 4 more, and then that one. Okay, that looks good to me. Tramming menu is passed. But we're not looking at that. We're looking at the one at line 3318 right here, coming down. So we got this one, 3 items, plus has custom colors. Plus enabled has ES diag, plus enabled has lock screen. Do you need to know these things? How many items there are? Plus turn 0 EEPROM settings 3. Oh, I kind of like that instead of the multiplying stuff from before. 2 times all. Well, when you have all, you have to kind of do it that way. Okay, where was I? Has lock screen, then EEPROM settings, there's 3. And then count enabled, case light menu, LED control menu. Looks like I don't do that here in this menu anymore, if I ever did. It just goes to the select colors menu, I guess. So it's changed. Haha. Okay, so we don't need that. So there's the 3 from the EEPROM settings, and there's 4 more that are always there. So that's the way that shakes out. Thank you very much. I don't know how this detail was missed by such a savvy developer. So we got 1 item for each of these. EEPROM settings has bed probe. Boy. I might have to go back on this stuff. Has bed probe, has home offset. Let's put away these busy ones for a second. Okay, now we got print counter. I don't know if ES diag is part of this mess here. No, doesn't look like it is. No, indeed. This is a whole different can of worms here. It's like totally changed. So we got EEPROM settings accounted for, bed probe, home offset, plus PID temp. Then we got lock screen stuff. I mean, there's other stuff here, but looks like a lot of this doesn't count anymore. So I'm gonna take some of these out. Oh boy. Okay, so I don't know if I need to do that with like blocking it that way. I probably don't. Anyway, depends on how count enabled works, I guess. I think I probably do in that case because it's a macro. It's a macro thing. So anyway, we got those accounted for. Then you've got +1. No, I don't see a +1. Oh, wait, no, no +1. Then this one, right? Then that, any, yep. Then this one, yep. Then print counter has how many? 2 items, sure enough. Then editable display timeout. Okay. Here, right? Then sound menu item. Boy, this just goes on and on. And I guess I could add these to the pile of like, you know, count them. Count them. How many? Our last recovery. G-code preview. Oh my god, this is getting out of hand. Um, let's see, where is that LCD brightness anyway? Is it even there? There it is. I don't see 2 items. Oh my god. No, wait, no, there they are. So they come after the baud rate. Oh my god. This is getting crazy. It's getting crazy. So yeah, these are the ones I probably should have. I don't know. I gotta at least get them in the right order. So that's all the ones that are 1 are up to are there. Print counter, editable. How many were there? 2. Um, then we had this +1 here. What? Editable display timeout. Sound menu item. Oops. Power loss recovery. As you could preview. Sorry, this is the only way I can stay sane. Is to talk my way through it. Just get through it, brother. And finally, Pro UI Media Sort. There we go. And good. Feeling good about that. 1 of each. And then we have a +1. Coming right up any second now. Hold on. Yes. Then there's got to be a better way. There must be a better way. You kind of need to know in advance the number of items for one reason or another. I forget why. Has LCD brightness 2. Good. That's accounted for. Then case light menu has 1. Guaranteed. Then, I know you've been waiting for this feature. This is the... Gotta hold up Marlin till this is ready. Can't give you... Can't tag it 213 without this. Come on. We gotta have it. Alright, there you go. So there's 1 item plus another 1 item plus all these bloody things that have to be counted. And I could add these to the counted enabled thing, I guess, up here if I wanted, but I want it here for now. Okay, so that takes care of that one. How many more of these bloody things are there? Move menu. I'm seeing 2 plus. Yeah, it looks good to me. All right. Let's check. Any more? That one, case light. We just did that one, right? Yes, we did. BD sensor looks like. Depending on the situation, we prefer to just put these on their own lines. I kind of like these on their own lines in a way. I'm admitting it. I have an aesthetic disparity, but this is one of those cases where I think it makes just cleaner. Oops, I don't know why it does that sometimes. Okay, so yeah, counting these, got, oh boy. Right, if you got BL Touch, you got 3 plus that. Alright, I'll take your word for it. If you got count enabled XYZ BD sensor, you got to do all that too. Up, see, you forgot to put that one in. You know, I ain't just talking to myself here with these things. And then plus this. Plus this. Come on. Alright, there we go. Alright. Very good. Alright, okay. I can't believe I went to Juilliard for this shit. I kid. All right, moving on. How's this one? Okay. Oh, look, I can tell you it's got 3. This one, I don't know. Draw LED control menu. I'm at the point where I just don't trust it anymore. All right, there's 8 there, yeah. Otherwise, there's 3 plus something. Gotcha. Then you got your, do it that way. You do it that way. That's fine. Kind of consistent. 8 or 3 plus. Yeah, all good. Meanwhile, um, not all. Not all. And a back item. Okay, we're good. Moving on. I'm almost ready to take a break, are you? You're just joining me. It's good to see you. Why do I do these streams? Well, so to keep engaged, stay in touch with you people. Let you know how I'm doing. I'm still alive. Um, on the verge of death and starvation, but we'll get through it. Okay, hold on. Right, and then has flow edit. Come on. How much of this is my fault? It's for having this way. Count enabled. Oh, look, we can count these too. Let's do it that way. All right. Cut it out with the keyboard fumbly fingers. Okay, what else we got? Heated bed, fan. Okay, then this one. Guess what? Let's see, Z offset item, mesh bed leveling, baby stepping. Gotta be careful here. Okay, I'm gonna go with ore. I don't usually put an ore directly in these things, but we're doing it. Doing it today. Because we have to know. Like if this trio was all up in here, then I would just use this. But it isn't. It isn't. So I just don't know at that point. Okay, so then you got advanced pause feature, filament sensor, Pro UI item PLR, firmware retract, JD. Okay, so all these are here. Being counted. Oh, this is annoying. Sorry. ADVK. Okay. Wait. Does that always put 1 in? No. Sometimes it brings 2 in. So we can't just stop there. Kind of have to go. All right, let's go with this. Yeah. All right, there we go. So we need that 1 plus enabled smooth thingy. Uh, there we go. Pro then has lock screen. Then as LCD brightness gives us 2. Then editable display timeout. Then 2 times Pro UI tuning graph and plot. Yep, sure enough. Then K-Slate menu gets a little complicated. Turn 1 plus that one plus that one. Count enabled. Those 2 things. Good. That or, which is what where the comma comes in later. Turn K-Slate menu. If a no K-Slate menu, then these. Make sure that's there, enabled and disabled. K-Slate NeoPixel. Okay, so there. That's good. We got that one up to date now. So yeah, it's taken a bit. I think that's all of them. 2 times these. 1 plus 2 times those. Did I have 2 plus? That should be 1 plus. Back item, then feed rate edit, then the rest. Okay. Okay. Hope that's all sorted out. Oof. Okay. It's a lot to look at. It's a lot to watch. It's a lot to monitor. It's a lot. But I am checking this filament set menu, but it was about this one. Was that a thing? How's this one working out? Did we do this already? One line 3800. I don't think so. So we're on to this one. Let's make sure it's good. Has filament sensor, filament run adjustment, cold extrusion, and firmware retract. No. Configure filament change gives you 2. Okay, that's good. And then we're just including the count. Okay, that's all good. Okay, and this one, 1 plus nozzle park plus 1. Plus advanced pause, plus filament unload G codes 2, plus firmware retract. Ah, see, you weren't ready. Six plus enabled this. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, all good. Meanwhile, this one doesn't seem to even need any counting. How lucky for you. Oh wait, there it is. Still got to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4 things that it depends on, which are there. And they're there. Okay, we are good. I'm feeling good about it. All right, moving on. Now we have 1 plus has hot end, has heated bed, has fan, plus preheat count. I think we've got more going on here than just that. Well, this gets tricky. Let's see. Oh, if it was this one, It'd say 2. Well, anyway. Oh, bed, I see. Never mind. And again, I'd hate to put the whole conditions in, but sometimes you just gotta. And these things are, I don't know if you noticed, these are code safe, these macros. They're checking options and they do work in like, precompiler, but they also work in the regular compiler because they return 0 or 1 depending on how they expand. So as long as they're wrapped like this, they work. And then with preheat count. So I think that takes care of that. Then we've got here the number of items is 1 plus those things. Good. Again, same here, same here, same here, same here. Things are getting nice, clean. Okay, and are we good? Oh, select colors. 20. That true? Yep. 5. Yep. This one, 1 plus that plus 4 times that, including that. Good. 4 plus that. Okay. Moving on. Boy, oh boy. 3 of those, and 1 of those. Okay. This one, 1 plus 3 of those, and 3 of those, and 1 of those. Okay. Looks good to me. 1, 3, 3, 1. 4 items here. Good. 2 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And they're all there. You can kind of see how having macros defined as 1 or 0 or whatever is like convenient for this kind of thing, but at the same time, it's like you got to know them all. It's a real big hassle to know all these bloody macros and all the config options and conditionals. But the alternative is to combine them in many more ways. Anyway, mesh edit 1 plus that plus 2 plus just this looks like. Yeah, so 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. And that's it. Okay. That was a slightly different change. This menu, 7 items. Yep. This one, 7. Yes. Yes? More like 8. Hmm. Yeah, that one does not have 8. It has 7. It has 7, or it has more. um, let's see, where do I usually do that assignment? Right at the top? Okay. Sounds good to me. And there we go. Or I guess I can just say that. Yeah, that's better anyway, because I do not like to see that semicolons inside my parentheses like such like. Anyway, menu item. So this is now 1 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus has bed probe. I think it's 5. 1, 2. Attempts. Five. Oh, 6 plus bed probe. I knew that. All right. Next one, EEPROM, mesh bed leveling. 2 for the bed probe, 1 for the home offset, 2 for the has mesh. Really? Guaranteed? 1. Nope. Nope. I guess if you use grid mesh viewer, it means you have a mesh, so And then Pro UI mesh edit, same idea. You have a mesh, so you're good. So 2, yes, I will accept this, even though it should be something more like plus that and plus that, kind of like that. Maybe that works fine. Has mesh 2 plus that times 2. Yeah, that works for me. Then this one, how many? 1, 5. Yep. Okay, good. And oh, wow, that's the bottom. I can't believe we've reached the bottom. Items equals, but yeah, it's I don't know. Did we check them all? I guess we kind of did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Said yeah. Enabled. Has preheat. Yep. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. 2 times all plus 1. Red tramming. Preheat. All right. Individual access openings of menu stuff. We need that at all? That's considered part of the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks more like 6 to me. Looks more like 6 to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, sure enough. I think that's 6 actually. Oh wait, it's not counting that 1. Well, if we're gonna do it that way, we gotta do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we did that then. We did do that. All right. So I think these have all been pretty much double checked at this point. 2 times that. Elif not disabled and enabled. Okay. Plus 4 plus enabled. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yep, I think we've been over all this ground, so let us now call that done. I don't know what else I can review on this, but items. Pick some items. Okay, there we go. It's now merged, rebased, whatever, not merged, not rebased. Oh, I didn't get to those ones to check what the issue was that I was changing. I wanted to make sure they were good. One of them was in UI API. Where is this? Was it an intentional change? I guess I needed to look at the old the old stuff, but I mean, I don't know. This is the one that's part of the base, so we can't change it without changing it for everything. So I want to be careful about this change. So I might have messed that up a little bit. Sorry. Um, I could go back to the previous commit and compare. Hate when I do that. Let's see. Right. So yeah, without the... Okay, that's fine. I think the only difference is that it only counts for mesh bed leveling and UBL. I think it's meant to also count for BBL. Because maybe move to mesh point wasn't previously used and now it is. I don't know. Again, okay, so motion here. Like stuff that touches Pro UI only is like not a huge deal to me, but some other stuff is. Oh wait, that the heck was that one of the things I checked earlier? Looks like it is. No, I guess it isn't. Uh-huh. All right. Might as well just throw that up there. Cancel those CI checks that we don't need. Okay. So bilinear is sort of getting stuff that is cached. Again, I don't want to make the default build grow by adding when we add new features. So it should be that if something's editable normally, then it's not normally or whatever, or what it wasn't historically, then we would just make a condition about that. So this, depending on how it's set up, I might have to reject it. But cache drill is already there. Cache G is already there. Grid spacing already there. Grid start already there. I guess it's just being merged into that line, and that's just being moved up is what's going on there, and that's at the bottom. I don't know. Don't rearrange stuff if you don't need to. It's like there are reasons why it's arranged a certain way. Having to do with like this is sort of like this caching thing was a different thing. It was a different feature in a way, so we don't need to do that kind of consolidation all the time. Anyway, that's my review of that. Then you have grid spacing, fine. Unused versus used. With Pro UI Mesh Edit, it does its own thing, so that's what's going on there. Meanwhile, the mesh distance stuff, gotta look at how that's sorted out. We just went over this file. I'm not looking at it in great detail again. This one is getting modified in weird ways. I did some tweaking of it at a previous point. And I won't be revisiting that. Meanwhile, dwin defines. Wait, can you hear that? It's my stomach grumbling. I'm going to take a break, get some food, come back, do more work after that. So I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.